ahead and record it on this computer, but there we go. Today's session is on Blackboard Ultra classes and the use of SafeAssign in both original and Blackboard classes. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And first ask, have any of you heard of or seen the actual Ultra class setup before? Anybody? You can wave, you can nod your head, shake your head, whatever. If some of you have seen it before, then this is probably nothing new to you. But if this is brand new to you, then this is a good chance for you to see it for the first time. I was asked for many years. I've been a Blackboard admin since 2013. It was from my previous institution. And people would ask me, it's like, well, do I have an Ultra course or do I have an original course? And that means no, because if you had never seen one before, you would know, because they're very, very different. Blackboard started rolling out Ultra classes. They announced it back in probably 2014 or so, but it took them another 2 or 3 years to actually make it available. I think it went through a lot of beta testing and those kinds of things. So when it finally rolled out, probably around 2016 or so, you had the option to do an Ultra class, or you had an option to do the original class. And it's kind of been a slow process because Ultra didn't have a lot of the same bells and whistles as an original class. So I'm just going to go ahead and start sharing my screen so that you can see what one looks like. This is actually my first semester using an Ultra class, so I'm still learning it myself. And we'll just go ahead and get started. I'm going to show, let's see if I got my full screen. Screen 2, that's not the one. There we go. Share sound, optimize, and here we go. All right, can we see that? Let's move it over. Oh, and I moved that here. Can everybody see my screen? Yes, no, maybe? Okay, cool. Whoops, that's not the one I wanted to start with. All right, I am logged into our Blackboard instance here at EACC. Now, the entire system itself is called the Ultra system. I know you guys switched to that, I think last year. And a lot of the schools I know of are finally moving to the entire platform system-wide, but you still have options for course view. And this is my kind of playground course that I've been using, that I'm prepping for my spring semester. And so I'm going to go ahead and just go into this, and this is what it looks like. Very different from the original view. This is supposed to be more user-friendly. And well, let me say more mobile user friendly. A lot of the students are doing more and more work on their phone. They're using the Blackboard app, or they're just using Blackboard through a browser. And this actually makes it a little easier to maneuver on a mobile device. You can see it is set up a little bit differently. This is the regular edit view for right now. I've put in a banner up here at the top, which was a little bit of a challenge because it has to be a specific size in pixels. And that took me a while to edit that and get that uploaded. But it's a real nice way to pretty it up a little bit. This is for my music appreciation class. And so, of course, there's the violins there. Your course menu from the instructor side is over here now. And it's a little bit different. It's more of a control panel and less of a course menu. Okay, you don't have your tabs over on the side. That's why all your content is just right here on your content page. You can see the roster for who's in it. You just click that, it opens up. That right now just me and my preview person are in there at the moment. This is where you can manage course groups. And this is one of the features that Ultra has that's really kind of cool. A lot of us teach classes that have both our concurrent students roster in it as well as our regular student roster in it. And we all know that we have to grade those separately, or at least in when we go in and enter our grades, they're separate rosters. And you can actually put your different students into different groups to do this. I haven't worked with the group portions yet in Ultra. I used it a lot in my original classes, but that's a newer way to do it. We're going to cancel that. Whoops, close it. And close that down. Course image, that's where I put the banner in right there. You can upload the image, and it does tell you it must be 1200 by 240. And it takes some editing, so use your Photoshop in your Adobe if you need to do that. You can also mark it as decorative. And what that means is that's an ADA accessibility feature that doesn't require you to put alt text in there for those who are vision impaired, or and because they might hover over that and they may not know what it is. So that way you can get around having to actually explain what the picture is, but you can click that off and you can write an image description for alt text there. But there's how you can pretty it up. Right now it's private, so no one can access it. You can mark attendance in here as well if you are keeping attendance on your Blackboard course. And that's a good record keeper for you, because it is important to mark attendance, and that goes back to our early alert messages that you can, again, carry over to your early alerts. You can post your announcements. I'm trying to keep up with the chat. Okay, thank you, Alan. Yes, you opted to make it ultra available last January. Thank you. You can post your announcements here. And there's one of my welcome announcements that comes up. These actually still show up in their activity stream like they're supposed to, versus being on the course itself, which we're used to in the original view. Books or tools, this can link to, we've got Hawks and a Hawk Sync tool, and there's our Smart Thinking, there's our online tutoring. I think we got a message about that this morning, that we needed to keep that available in all of our courses. And I actually have the link that's on my content. But there's where you can find those and link to whatever. If you've got outside publisher content that you link to, that's where you can find that. And then question banks is where you can manage your test questions. And I haven't really utilized that as much yet. But here's where all the content is within the class. And what I use a book from W.W. Norton, and they have a Blackboard cartridge or course setup that you can upload immediately. And I've used that for years because they've got content that's already set up, and I just have to kind of edit and delete what I don't want and keep what I like. And that was okay. Thank you, Alan. Alan's also letting us know that everything's private and everything starts on Tuesday, which is good. That's a real good thing. That sets up our terms for us. But what I use is their Blackboard cartridge, and I upload that and then pull it over. That was the biggest issue I had with this new version, because it was harder to pull from the content collection. And I had to figure out how to do that. Besides just all of it being in a private folder, and then you just open it up and put it where you want to. That's been the biggest challenge I've come across trying to set this class up. But I finally figured out how to do it. You go here to these little ellipses, and in my trainings with Blackboard over the years, I like to call them hamburgers. If they have a circle around them, you call them hamburgers. But there's where you can import content, copy content, export your course package. That's actually pulling it out of the class and putting it somewhere. That's archiving it in some senses. But you can import it from there, and that takes you to I go to the content collection, which is where all my stuff is. And this is a little bit cumbersome, and you may or may not use that, but that's how you get to it. So that was a lot of fun there. So I'm going to cancel that out, go back here. Okay. This is my syllabus, and how I got that in there was there's this little plus sign, and that's where you click to create, copy, upload, get stuff from your content market. That's publisher material, whatever you've got in cloud storage and from the content collection. And easily you can just click create, and you can make a learning module. Some of you probably use learning modules in your class, a folder, a document, a internet link, That's with LTI connections. If you've used LinkedIn material that way, you can put in a test, an assignment, a discussion, or a journal, and those are the items that are available. This was just a simple document. You click document, and you can put the name of it up here. And I had just written like music syllabus, and I uploaded from my computer, and eventually grabbed it from there, and you just upload it. It's very, very easy to do that. I also, oops, see it, and if you do it and save it, it puts in there automatically. But since I don't really need it, I'll probably delete it. But what you can do is they've got this item right here to hide it from students or make it visible to students where they can see it, or you can put release conditions on it. And you can put that on anything. And I'm a huge fan of release conditions, or adaptive release, as it was called in the original version. And you can make this visible to all members or specific students or groups. You can set time delays on them, what date you want it to appear, what date you want to hide it. You can also put performance on it. If they have to take a test before they can read this document, or read a document before they can take a test, you can always choose whatever that item you want to be, and then that moves you on to the next one. Like if I wanted them to introduce themselves on the discussion board first, they would have to do a grade usually, and usually as long as they attempt it 10 points or higher, you can put that on there. Now, this is the new feature that's on Ultra that's not on the original version. You can show it, meaning that they can see the item in the content list, but they can't open it until they've met the release condition. And I really like this because that happens a lot, where a student will come up and say, well, I can't get to the test and I know I did everything. And it's like, well, and it's not showing up, but if it hasn't shown up, then that means there's something else you need to do. It's kind of like a video game. You got to, finish one level before you can move on to the next one, which is really a favorite course design of mine. And you can also just hide it completely where they don't see it at all. And I'm going to go with the show version on the new classes. That way they know it's there, but then they go, oh, well, I need to back up and finish doing something else before I get that far. And you can, save that, and it will be ready for you. And what it will do is it will show that there is a date and time performance item there when you do that. You can move it around on the content page by using this, and it does this. It's kind of a drag and drop thing. And this I'll just admit, this kind of got on my nerves after a while, because I moved something and it disappeared, and I have no idea where it went. So I had to completely reload it. But you can move that content around, and you have that option on the original classes, but you also have that other menu that's up at the top where you can move them a little bit easier. But they're doing the drag and drop method with these. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. You can edit it again, meaning you can change the name of it. You can replace the file itself. You can do different release conditions. There's other document settings you can put there. If you want the kids to talk about it, you can allow class conversations, and they can actually have little messages back and forth. And you can align it with goals or rubrics that are set up in the rubrics portion, and provide a description as well. Okay. And then you can also, if you don't need it, you can delete it. And it always asks if you want to get rid of something. So there it goes. These are some other items I've just added as documents. I put in the smart thinking link in there so they would have it. Even though smart thinking doesn't tutor music itself, it does tutor writing. So I do definitely like having that there. So, because I do have writing assignments in my class. And when I added that, that was just going up tier again to the, where'd it go? And did I go? Oops. And that is how they open that. They can just click on it and it opens up. It's a PDF. I usually prefer, if there's a document you want students to have that they just read only, I recommend using PDFs. It's just kind of a course design tip. That way they can't, if you gave them a document, they could go in and edit it, maybe change a date. I've never heard of that actually happening and never experienced that happening, but you never know when someone might get kind of smart and go, oh no, you put this date on it. It's like, I don't think so. That does happen. So let's see here. Why is it not letting me edit? There it is. To create, again, the link for whatever you need to do, that's create, and just whatever item you want to put there. Again, I did put a link to the calendar, which is up here on the top. And if you've got set to do dates, they're all listed right there for what's coming up. Also, according in addressing this menu, this can also go to your discussions page. I've got a couple of them there. This is the grade book, and I'm going to come back to that. This is your course messages. Must put me in student preview. Staying up to date on how you can do that. I haven't used messages in Ultra yet. We'll see how that works this semester. And then I've got analytics, and we don't have any data because nobody's done anything yet. So I'll go back over here to content. There's another document. This is an actual assignment that students have to do. This is updating their information in Blackboard. They click it. There's my welcome video that I probably need to update because that's about a couple of years old. All your instructions are here. You can have them add content at the end, which is where you can have feedback if you want to do that. And this is, of course, where they'll put their submission in the student view. I can't really do it as an instructor view, but that's where they'll do that. And there's other assignments settings over here on the side. And anytime you see this little wheel, that's where you have.
I'll still look in case you have a question. Okay.
Carla, your mic's open.
Oh, shoot.
All righty. You can change your due dates here where it's shown. That's where I've got release dates on them. I put allow class conversations on this one. There's other things you can do as far as randomizing questions, randomizing answers. That's usually in a test. Your grading submissions here. This is an assignment. It has unlimited attempts for this one. You can put as many as you want. You can limit it. Since I do multiple attempts on this particular assignment, I will keep the attempt with the highest grade on it to go in the grade book. I'm using points for it. I actually want to use percentages, so I need to change that. I'm so glad I caught that. You can do anonymous grading, peer review, assessment results, and you can use a rubric. I need to actually add a rubric to that. And there's enabling SafeAssign. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but that's how you can adjust the assignment settings for that. And cancel that because those don't need to be updated. Okay, close. That's a course survey. That's a link to my discussion forum, which is done through that adding content. This is a folder which opens up to subfolders. And if you start using Ultra and you have a folder, it will probably eventually tell you you can't add another folder. One of the best practices in course design is you don't want them clicking any further than maybe 3 or 2 times. And when you're wanting to add more material, again, that click create, you can do a folder there, but if you go any further, it sometimes won't let you do that. It just depends. Now that let me add one then. I did it there. That one I could add. Let me delete that because I don't need that. Whoops. And of course, there's always bugs. Oh, booted me out. All right. One of the things about this version of Blackboard, you have what's called SAS Advantage, which basically makes Blackboard one huge, gigantic phone app. That way they can roll out updates, they can fix things without really any downtime. And so sometimes that will happen. And you just kind of have to be patient with it while it loads up. And I noticed there was some internet things going on yesterday that may still be going on today. In my subfolders, I've got my links to a YouTube video, which is right there. And that's like 300 years old, but the information is still good. I have links to PowerPoints in what's called SlideShare. Some of you may have heard of that before. And they can download those if they need them. There's an option to do that. And I've got a review quiz here. And it takes a second to load up. This is just a good old multiple choice test. And you can edit the questions again with the ellipsis here. You can change the points of it if you'd like. You can delete questions, move them up and down, pretty much similar to the old original version. Automated feedback, that was provided by the publisher. I didn't really do anything else with that. It'll say save, cancel. Since I didn't make any changes, it's cancel. Again, quiz settings are over here too. Again, just click the wheel, this opens up. There's a due date. I can randomize questions, randomize answers. That's a good proctoring tool you can use. These are open book, so it really doesn't matter. It's a quiz category. They have 2 attempts for each one. Again, attempt with the highest grade using percentage, and so on and so forth. You can add time limits. I usually don't do that, but all those options are there in a quiz. And just always click the little X in the blue box to get out. And this actually, when it opened up, it's in the wrong spot. So I'm going to move it up so it's up here where it belongs. There we go. Just move it around. And so on and so forth. I do have a blog that's in here, or a journal of sorts. I wonder why it didn't edit that. I'll have to check that out. I wonder if it'll let me edit it now. Nope. Okay. Usually what you do is you have this text box here that you can edit. You can type it in. It's got your options for fonts, tables, attachments, links, all of those things. And I will cancel because I'm not making any changes. And then they can go down here as a student and add whatever they want to that blog. That's their listening blog for the first part of the semester. And I've still got some building to do on it. Again, it's just an option if you want to try it. One of the things that you do have to do is if you want to start using Ultra, you can't just copy over an old class and make it an Ultra class. You pretty much have to start from scratch and rebuild it. Now, once you've built it, it'll copy over just like any other class from before. But if you want to get started moving to the entire new system, you have to start with an Ultra class. It has to be completely blank as a template. One of the things that Blackboard does have, though, is that when you create a new class, we can also set up that, and this is something I can talk to Alan about if he wants to. You can give instructors the option to choose the original view or the Ultra view. And that's usually better. Instead of every new class being Ultra or every new class being original, you give instructors that choice. And that's an admin setting on the inside. But this is certainly available to you if you want to give it a try. It, again, doesn't have some of the same bells and whistles that the original classes have. And that was one of the disadvantages when Ultra first started, because they were slowly growing the product. This is my first semester to use it myself in reality, so I'm going to learn a lot about it as well. So that concludes the Ultra portion. So if anybody has any questions about Ultra, I'll open the floor. I know that was a lot of information very quickly, so. All right.
I have a couple.
Sure.
What's the major benefit of switching to Ultra other than what appears to me to be the look, the layout, and perhaps the logistics of posting things? Like, it seemed much easier to add material in this format.
That's
Secondly,
yeah,
go ahead.
that's really it. It's just different.
Okay.
So,
And two, is this something we're going to ultimately switch to permanently, is Ultra rather than the other?
not in the near future, I don't think. I know a lot of the talk that was going on with Blackboard years ago was that they wanted to move completely to it because it was so much more mobile friendly and device friendly. That was really the only thing. In my personal opinion, and this doesn't really mean anything, eventually, probably 10 years, 15 years down the road, we may be all Ultra classes, but I don't really see it happening anytime soon.
When you do student preview, is there a student preview per mobile view? Like, can you view the, go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. Now, let me move to it because that's a good thing I was going to do for you. So, and a lot of my stuff's probably not going to show up because content not available, because they have to read some of these other things first. So there's your student preview. And what would finish out your question, please? I'm sorry. Was there anything else, Daniel?
I don't think so necessarily. It would be nice to see it in the mobile view.
Correct. The thing to do, and since I don't have a mobile device with me besides my phone right now, let me work on that, and I'll see what I've got, and I'm going to send you some screenshots. Have you had a chance to ever look at the Blackboard app? Have you ever seen it?
Yes, I've used
Okay.
it not more recently because for the longest time it was not worth doing much with.
No, it wasn't.
I mean, personally, whenever I had to do anything remotely and all I had was my phone, I would log in via the internet app or Safari or something. Yeah.
Right. It's pretty much, it looks good in the app, in the Blackboard app. And but I don't know how many more improvements they've made to the Blackboard app. I know I never liked the instructor app. I never did. So I never used it. But I think what they're trying to do is eventually make this better, even in that sense, because I know where you're coming from with that, because I was never a big fan of the app myself, either on the student side or the instructor side. So that's really it. The only advantage is that it is a little bit different and it's supposed to be more mobile friendly. So it's just that option. But thank you. Those are great questions. Anyone else got anything they'd like to add? Oh, I've got some chats. Let me see. And yes, a lot of students are using just their phone. I mean, I've had students in the past that's the only thing they use. And I think one reason why they do that is because they either don't have a laptop, they don't have a PC or a desktop computer, but it's because that's the only internet they have is on their phone. They don't have Wi-Fi at their house. They just have phone data. And that's very prevalent in rural areas. So I think that's one of the things Blackboard has tried to do in that sense. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move on to SafeAssign. Is there anyone who is familiar with SafeAssign as the plagiarism checker in Blackboard? Hands, chat. Okay. Has anyone heard of Turnitin as a plagiarism checker? It's another one that's been around for many, many years. Okay. Okay, Courtney started it, John started it. Okay, great. Well, SafeAssign is built directly into Blackboard. It's been around probably since, oh my goodness, late 2000s. I've used both. This is how you can use SafeAssign in assignments. This is actual Blackboard's help page for instructors. How it works, what it supports, and everything that it does that way. And one of the biggest things I ran into years ago, my previous institution was a Turnitin school. It's very expensive to have a Turnitin account. You have to have its own administrator, and it's a great tool. I liked using it for a while, but at the time, you had to have all your students link out of Blackboard and go to a different site and do all their work. And I wasn't a big fan of that, because it's like, okay, we're paying for Blackboard. They're doing their work in Blackboard. Don't make it more complicated. But you can integrate Turnitin into Blackboard, but their old tool didn't work real well. They've revamped it and they're trying it again, and I think it's working better now. But I was a big fan of SafeAssign. And it was always, well, what's the difference between the two? So this is an old document. This is from 2016. So I couldn't find a more updated version that looked quite like this, but this was comparing the two. And then I can send this to you if you're interested in looking at it. You can just look it up online. But it was always, what's the difference? The main difference between the two was that Turnitin had a larger database of papers because it had been used longer, and SafeAssign didn't have as many. And that's really the only difference now, but it's growing. And you kind of have to grow it within your institution so that you've got papers to compare to one another and it can catch them to see who's plagiarizing. I'm just a big fan of SafeAssign because it's easy to use. It's already in Blackboard. We're already paying for it. It's free. So that's why I liked using it. And for myself, since I grade mostly content versus grammar and those kinds of things, which I leave that to the English folks, it was just a way for me to check to see if they were cheating off each other, if they're borrowing papers. And I have found them over the years. And so I'm going to show you some examples of that. Whoops, session out. Let me go back and relog in. This is my former institution, which I still teach for as an adjunct. So let me go back to where that was. That was last year. Okay. This was the last student that I caught with SafeAssign and had to turn her in. And I'm sorry I had to do that. And I am sorry that you have to see this list of students, but I don't have a way to shut that out. But there's her, that's the big 0. And so we'll look at it here and we'll show you what it does. Now, what you do is you set up SafeAssign on the front end. I don't know if you can go back and click the SafeAssign button to check submissions or an assignment that's already been completed and graded, because I've never really done that because I've always done it on the front side. And I haven't had a chance to double check it because I've done it for so long. But of course, you're familiar with, this is what's called the box view. And this has all your ways to annotate and comment on papers, highlight different things, correct them, so on and so forth. This was a feature that was not in the original assignments that you could get, that you had submitted to Blackboard. And that was another reason why people wanted to Turnitin, because they could do all of those things. But now you can do it in Blackboard just as easily. But if you've got an assignment that's set up to SafeAssign, you just click a little button is all you do on the settings side. And this gives you the report right over here. And this is a film critique for the film Amadeus, which I've taught for 300 years, but I'm taking it out. That's coming up. But to see the originality report, she's got a 67% overall match. And you click this down button and you click this down button, which is the one I need. But there's what's going on. Clicking the originality report. And this is the newer one, and I could show you the older one too, but the newer one's a lot better. This is everything that was copied. This also includes your sources, and you can pull this drop down box. That's the institutional database. This is comparing this paper against other student papers that were submitted to my previous institution. And there's the main one right there. You can actually open up that original paper, and there it is from the year before. And that's how you do that. You can download that, you can print it however you want to. You can actually close that off on the upside. This is another student paper from before. That was from 2019. There's another one. Most of the stuff though, the smaller versions are just down here where her bibliography, her works cited was. I usually kind of ignore that because students can use the same source over and over again. But that's okay. Their paper needs to be different though, but this is how much was copied off the other paper, which is quite a bit. Here's a non-existent paper that's not in there anymore. There's another one that's in pink, but that's kind of a basic sentence there. Weren't any from the internet, just kind of an all reviews thing. That looks like just someone's name, F. Murray Abraham. But that's where that comes from. As per the plagiarism policy, I gave her a 0, reported it to the chief academic officer, and that was the end of that. But that's how it works. And what I like about it is just so easy, and you can catch them, and then there's a record of them doing these kinds of things. How you can set it up in our classes is just pretty simple if you've never done it before. This is a different paper, but it's just in the edit portion, and it's under submission details. It's just check submissions for plagiarism using SafeAssign. Just click that. If you want them to see the originality report, I don't add that one. Or exclude submissions from the institutional and global references databases. I don't click that either, because that doesn't build the database. But that's kind of how it works. If you're interested in using it, feel free to do that. But it's, like I said, it's already there. And if you really want to check your students, you can do that. Now, the only place you can use it is on assignments that upload a paper. It can't be an assignment where they just copy and paste into that right submission box. You can't use it on discussion forums. You can't use it on journals or blogs. It's just uploaded paper assignments is the only thing you can use it on. The other thing I wanted to show you, just kind of as a caveat to finish out the day, is this popped up as on my search for SafeAssign. How to cheat SafeAssign, plagiarize and not get caught. It's a site called gradebees.com. And I guess they write your papers for you and let you get away with it. So I'm sure you're aware of those things, but that's just so blatantly like, hey, we're cheating, and we're going to let you know about it. Now, in some countries, they actually kind of condone it. I don't know why, but I've discovered that in some of my other research. But that's SafeAssign. So if you've got any questions about that, again, the floor is open. I know it's a lot of stuff, so. And if there's any other questions you want to ask, you're certainly welcome to do that. All right. Well, if you want to come back and visit this recording, or you want to send it to some other folks that might be interested in it, that might be willing to maybe try out Ultra or start using SafeAssign for their assignments, you're certainly welcome to do that. And I know y'all are busy and y'all have got stuff to do, so I'm going to go ahead and let you go. And it's been great to talk to you this morning. And yes, John, you should do that. It's a good tool. And I think Convocation's been going great since this is my very first one. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm getting to see other people, and it's been awesome. All right, well, I'll let everybody get back to work, and be sure to log on to Ed's presentation at 10 o'clock, and come back at 1 o'clock for Meet the Deans with me and Jack Hill, and we'll see you then. Y'all have a great week. Thanks for all the hard work you do, and here's to a great start on next Tuesday. Thanks a lot, y'all.